Well, greetings out there again in internet land and horror fanatics. Your host here. Look, folks, I know these are scary and uncertain times, okay? This is probably the first time something like this has happened in at least a century in the United States, if not worldwide. So all I can say is please take care of yourselves, take precautions, wash your hands, use sanitizer, use gloves, and unfortunately, stay home. The impact of that is going to be very hard to gauge for quite a while to come yet, but you do need to just keep your distance and try to help everyone, not just yourself and your family, but everyone, to avoid this spreading any further. Goes without saying, though, being indoors a lot means you're going to be watching a lot of movies. Which brings me to the topic of my video today. And before I get to it, I just want to say thank you all for watching my Dr. Squatch St. Patrick's review. That was interesting to make, to say the least. I've also actually got an Irish sort of review coming up that I had hoped it would arrive in time for St. Patrick's Day, but it did not. That's all I'll say for now. But with that, to the main topic of this video, I am way behind on my horror pack unboxing. I actually got a subscription as a gift for the holidays. I would say this year, but actually it was last year. And I've got 3 boxes that have just been sitting gathering dust. I've been very negligent. Shame on me. So with that, we're going to get right to the nitty-gritty here. This was last month's box that I began to open, but then I realized what it was and said, oh wait, I'll do a video. Yes, it is a trash can. So let's see what we've got. Kill for Me. This one is unfamiliar to me. Katie Cassidy and Tracy Spiridakos. Let's see here. While trying to move on from an abusive ex-boyfriend, Amanda, Katie, looks for a roommate to help pay the rent. Haley, Tracy, just moved to college to get away from her own abusive past. Now roommates, both girls, find comfort in their friendship and make a pact to help each other overcome their past. Oh god, this is going to be some kind of quasi-lesbian shit, isn't it? As if we didn't have enough of that already. Let's see what's next here. The Unwilling, also not a title I'm familiar with. What is your dying wish? Following the death of the family's patriarch, a group of relatives meet at the estate agoraphobic and OCD son, the reading of the will. For the reading of the will, each family member wants a piece of the inheritance. A mysterious box appears and begins to seduce them with their deepest, darkest, deadliest desires. This sounds like some kind of Hellraiser shit. I mean, I know Hellraiser was a great movie, and I know it's a well-worn concept, but can't we try something just a little original here? And it does have Lance Henriksen, though, so there's that advantage. And by the way, I hope you agree with me, his best work was not Alien, it was, in fact, Pumpkinhead. He was just too good in that movie. Oh, here we have one I am familiar with, Psycho 2. Now, the original Psycho, let me tell you, that is just an immortal, a classic, and so much of that is owed to Anthony Perkins. This sequel, though, was, yeah. About the only good follow-up to the original Psycho that we've ever gotten was the TV show Bates Motel. And even then, they got quite a bit over the top and corny with it, particularly in the later seasons, but the casting was phenomenal, and they really did manage to take a story that was fit for just one film and stretch it out into several seasons. That takes talent and creativity, so kudos to them. Let's see what else we have here. We have The Hollow Child. Again, it's not a title I'm familiar with, so one thing I do like about Horror Pack, I might add, is you'll get some obscure titles that you're not familiar with, and that really opens up your viewing experience. Highly intelligent and malicious creatures known as the Hollow Ones live in the woods and entice children with their hypnotic folklore music. Samantha, a young foster teen, must fight to expose these dangerous supernatural imposters to save her younger sister, who has been taken, otherwise her soul will be lost forever. Well, short, sweet description. Very Grimm's fairy tale. I look forward. All right, here we have a box that was not previously opened. Really dumb mistake on my part, by the way. So let's see what this one has to offer us. Well, I kind of like this one by the cover. Holidays. Looks like Evil Easter Bunny, which is, by the way, we should be coming up with that season soon, so expect to see the Bunny Man killer shit up online again. Oh, it's an anthology film about each different holiday. That's actually kind of cool. Trick or Treat, which is a favorite of mine as an anthology. It's really a often neglected kind of genre, so that should be interesting. They've got Valentine's Day, Halloween, Father's Day, Mother's Day, New Year's, Christmas, Garbage Day, Easter, and St. Patrick's Day. And, thinking of Easter, I really got to ask, am I the only one who's ever wondered if it's about celebrating the resurrection of Jesus? When the fuck the bunnies and the chocolate come into it? The questions that keep you up at night. So next we have Nightmare City. Looks like a very blatant zombie flick, and probably a tribute to old school exploitation. In fact, it appears it was made in 1980. When a radioactive spill causes mass contamination, thousands of infected citizens are transformed into bloodthirsty undead fiends. But these are not your standard stumbling gut munchers. Yeah, I think we've already seen that with Dawn of the Dead. This is an all-out attack by fast-moving, flesh-ripping, ass-kicking... It's Dawn of the Dead. It's Dawn of the Dead. Okay, so now we know the basics of that one. Oh, dear. The Boston Strangler. As a guy who you'll see on my Facebook and Twitter feeds, I sometimes post about real true crime stories and real tragedies. I gotta say, they didn't get him. The real Boston Strangler is still out there. It was not DeSalvo. He just made all that bullshit up to aggrandize himself, because otherwise he had nothing. And in fact, that's what this is about. For years, the police thought they had captured and convicted the right man in the infamous Boston Strangler slayings. They were dead wrong, and now the chilling story of one of the most terrifying serial sex murderers in modern history comes to the screen with a gripping force that will leave you breathless. Somehow I kind of doubt that. These kind of films tend to be really, really corny. Does anyone else remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was that string of exploitation movies about serial killers, Gacy, Dahmer, Ed Gein, Ted Bundy? This is probably going to be just like those, and probably just as stupid. Well, this one has a promising cover, The Toolbox Murders 2. I had heard of the first one. I didn't realize there was a sequel. The Handyman of Horror is back. That's actually kind of a pretty catchy handle. In a terrifying sequel to Tobe Hooper's 2004 reimagining of the 1978 cult favorite. Picking up directly after the events of Hooper's shocking film, Toolbox Murders 2 ratchets up the terror as it follows one of Hollywood's most twisted killers. I've got a lot of respect for Tobe Hooper, and he really was an innovator, but with just looking at the cover of this, it feels like he went full-on Rob Zombie, where he had a great concept and decided to just recycle it. Which, I suppose, you got to keep bread on the table, but the sheer creative laziness of it can get pretty monotonous. So let's see what our final box has to offer us. Okay, here we have Mercy, which is a supernatural thriller of family secrets and suspense. Two mischievous young brothers accompany their single mother to take care of their grandmother. That's a lot of family. In her remote and lonely house, what begins as an innocent gesture leads to the discovery of a terrifying secret about Grandma's true nature. So in other words, it's the boy, or the orphan, that kind of bullshit. It's not terrible, but it kind of gets overdone. Like found footage. Oh dear, this one, Let Her Out. I'm really not sure I can show this cover here on YouTube without getting in some kind of trouble, so I'm just going to read the description. Helen is a bike courier who suffers a traumatic head injury at the hands of a stranger. When she awakens in the hospital to discover that she has a benign growth in her brain, she begins to experience dark visions, voices, and the omnipresence of a strange woman Thrust back into her life, Helen finds herself lost in a walking nightmare in which nothing is what it seems because the thing inside her mind will stop at nothing to get out. This sounds a lot like Basket Case, which, by the way, is a fucking awesome movie. Yeah, it is totally stupid and corny, but at least it knew what it was and it reveled in it. Here's to you, Belial. But yeah, the cover on this one is downright pornographic, so I will not be showing it. Don't be afraid of the dark. So while architect Alec Hurst and his new girlfriend Katie restore their Gothic mansion's period interiors, Alex's young daughter Sally can investigate the dark corners of the estate. She begins hearing raspy whispers coming from the basement, and her curiosity gets the better of her. She finally opens the door to an army of beady-eyed, sharp-clawed monsters. The horror is real, and she and her family are in peril. She tries to warn everyone, but no one is listening. This is a concept that we've definitely seen a lot of times before. You know, there was one anthology film that I'm afraid I can't remember the title of it, but the end story of it involved a giant supernatural rat occupying someone's house, and only the little girl can see it. And yeah, you know, just I actually like how they're having it be monsters in the basement just off the description, because that's actually a very visceral fear that we have as children that I don't think ever completely goes away. I think we all have that occasional moment in the basement of the attic, wherever, where you just kind of scramble to flip the light switch on because you know it's in there waiting for you. So it's not a terrible concept as a whole. I'm definitely kind of curious. And oh dear, now we have a true titan of the genre, Phantasm 2. There is no denying the Phantasm franchise, for how relatively few installments it's had compared to some others, it really does stand out. It's such a marvelously unique and original series, and such great casting. I mean, Angus Scrimm was just perfect as the Tall Man. And several years ago, when I read the news of his sad passing, I was actually terrified to go to bed that night. Because I knew, the instant that I closed that bedroom door, there he was gonna be saying, boy. And the second one, in my opinion, is definitely where the franchise kicked it up a notch. The first one is marvelous, but you could see the kind of constraints they were working with in terms of their budget, their makeup, their effects. Here, they really went full on, and that scene where the Tall Man clone, or whatever you want to call it, springs out of the girl's spinal column, that one got me as a kid, and I still think it looks fantastic. So this one definitely has a deserved place, if only I hadn't already downloaded it a couple years ago. So that was my 3 horror pack unboxing boxes. So please keep your eyes tuned for my next videos that will be coming soon. And also to House of Tortured Souls for my articles. I've got one coming up soon, an interview I did with homicidal homemaker Casey Hansen. Please keep an eye out for her. She's awesome. And I'm so thrilled I finally got to talk to her. So, as always, eat, drink, and be scary, and please, please, stay safe out there.